So today's topic is Sitecore Personalize basics. And Nandita has already done a quick introduction, but we'll just do a quick introduction, not spend much time. Working as a group tech director at Horizontal Digital MN Office, 15 years in the industry, 13 years on Sitecore platform, 9 years at Horizontal, as Nandita already mentioned, for the Sitecore technology MVP for 10 years, and then first from India. And this is my blog URL. Also, CoView MVP for 2022, and then first Sitecore CDP certified developer in the world. So this session is the second session of the overall CDP and Personalized series I'm doing. So first session has already been done on 26th of August, which talked about Sitecore CDP basics done with Sitecore Group India. The recording is already uploaded on YouTube. The link is here, and you can also find out from their YouTube channel. Today's session is Sitecore Personalize basics, where we'll talk more about Sitecore Personalize and how the system works. We'll also have a lot of demos, so that'll be good. And then we also have a couple of sessions lined up for this series: Sitecore CDP decision model basics with SUG Pune, and then Sitecore CDP segmentation and batch import and export basics with Jaipur. So if you're interested in those topics, please add these dates in your calendar. So yeah, once that is done, now let's talk about the basics of the Sitecore Personalize. But before we talk about Sitecore Personalize basics, you might have a question like why we need Sitecore Personalize, because my sites work fine, my clients are happy with the site, but why I need to add this additional complexity of doing a personalization? There are a few quotes and data from various known sources. So the first two are from Gartner. So by 2020, 81% of marketers expect to be competing mainly on the basis of customer experience. Again, this is still 2020 and we are in 2022, and still we as an industry have to lot to catch up on the personalization front. By 2025, 80% of marketers who have invested in personalization will abandon their efforts due to lack of ROI, the perils of customer data management, or both, because there are a lot of initiatives get started to do a personalization, but not even by 2025. I have seen like in the 6 months they get parked because people just give up with the technology. It's complicated to implement. It works, it doesn't work, and it's not reliable as well. So people just park their initiative of doing personalization, which is very important. Then personalization increases revenue. 80% of people who are more inclined to purchase from a company that provides stellar experiences, which is I think valid in our offline experience as well. Because if you have a shopkeeper next to you, there are two shopkeepers next to you, and if one person is just doing a transaction and another person is providing you that personalized experience, addressing you by your name, they know what you purchased last time and providing you other options and suggestions, I'm sure you'll go with the second one because they provide you the personalized experience. The same is true for the digital experience as well. The quick recap, in case you missed the last session and could not see, let's do a quick recap of what we've seen, because that's the basis of all the discussions we are going to do today. So I'll not spend much time. If you want to go through the deep discussion, I would request you to go through the recording. But for this session, as you need that basic understanding, we'll start with a quick recap. So this is the diagram of Sitecore CDP and Sitecore Personalize. So there are a lot of things going on here. The left side is all about data ingestion. There are various ways to do data ingestion, streaming, interactive, and batch. Will not go in detail, but you can go through the last session about the data ingestion in CDP. Once you have the data, you can put the data to do some work using this omnichannel experiences, and you can also connect to a decisioning model where you can connect to AI models in your internal APIs. We'll talk about that in the next session. But in today's session, we are going to talk more about how you can provide the omnichannel experiences using the Sitecore Personalize. And this whole part, this side, is all Sitecore Personalize. So mainly the green part is Sitecore Personalize, and then this red part is CDP. And you can see the omnichannel experience because when we implement the omnichannel, the experiences or experiments here, they are mainly consumed using APIs and some small JavaScript code. And the benefit of that is you can leverage that same experience or experiment you are going to work on all the channels you have throughout your company. So you don't need to have multiple implementation. Just one implementation can scale, can be consumed by all the channels you have. And we'll see that example in the upcoming slides. And if we break it down, as I mentioned, the Sitecore CDP uh, does mainly focus on the data ingestion. Uh, and then Sitecore personalization is mainly about doing the personalized experience. You might see that there are also some streaming and interactive done through CDP, uh, but that is not kind of a very stable or full integration. If you already only purchase the Sitecore personalized license, you cannot have the all the capabilities of Sitecore CDP. So this is kind of a very limited data. If you need more historical data and do more personalization based on data, you also need to purchase a Sitecore CDP license. And this slide talks about all the confusion you will hear in the industry, because a lot of people talk about say Sitecore CDP, few people say Sitecore CDP and Personalize, few people say Sitecore Smart Hub CDP. In a way, everything is pointing about the same product, but these products can be purchased together as a full bundle, or you can purchase each piece. Like you can only purchase Sitecore CDP, you can only purchase Sitecore Personalize, or if you purchase both, then you can call that you have Smart Hub CDP. So when you are discussing or presenting it to someone, it will be good to know like which license you have, because there are various options available for you. And then the capabilities of each product is different. Sitecore CDP, as I mentioned, it's mainly about getting the data and then doing the profile unification and all those uh, data related things. Sitecore Personalize is mainly designed for optimizing every customer's interaction with omni-channel A/B testing, personalization, decisioning, and then Sitecore Smart Hub CDP is basically combination of both. And this is the future of composable at Sitecore. This diagram talks about how you can. We have been all have been doing this till this point of time, but now we all are moving towards this in the future, uh, where you can have both these products, or you can only have one product like Sitecore CDP, and then use Interaction Studio from Salesforce. That is, everything is possible with this combination. Again, as I mentioned, this already has been discussed in the last session, so I'll not go in deep in this session. So let's move to the main topic, Sitecore Personalize. So Sitecore Personalize is a cloud-native solution for delivering tailored experiences to every customer on any channel and at scale. So this is a SaaS platform, and you don't need to have any installation or anything in your local. So everything is SaaS-based, and you can integrate that using some JavaScript code or API calls. It activates your data across all customer touchpoints to create seamless and consistent customer experience. And as I mentioned, you can do omnichannel experiences and personalization using Sitecore Personalize. You can do experimentation, which is basically nothing but the A/B testing. You can do personalization, and you can also do decisioning. And we'll talk about that in the upcoming slides. There are a few key concepts you need to understand about Sitecore Personalize: experiences and experiments. So experiences are basically you want to do some personalization thing that you can do with experiences. If you want to experiment like which one I should go with, like same as A/B testing or multivariant testing we used to do in the XP world, that's something will fall into experiments. There are multiple ways to do experiences or experiments: web and full stack. And full stack also has sub part interactive or triggered. So this is overall key concepts which you should know when you work with Sitecore Personalize. And we'll go further deep into each topic in the upcoming slides. So let's talk about the experiences first. Let's talk about the web experiences. So web experiences have been designed for marketers. It renders content on the client side using Sitecore Personalize. It's easy and faster way to get started without tech team's involvement. So when you use web experiences, you get all these out of the box templates available to you uh, at your disposal. You can integrate that, provide some data, and that integration will be active. No need to have any technical teams involvement. As a marketer, you can get this done without any tech teams involvement, provided your Sitecore Personalize connection has been established as part of the initial setup. That's the only thing you need. And we'll see a demo as well so you understand better. So you can see here you have the out of the box templates provided, but you can also create your few templates with one-time investment from a development team, and you can also use that. This is how the web experiences data flow works. So first thing is browser. For this one, you need to add some JavaScript. So that when the page request happens, it goes to Sitecore XM website. Then the HTML response comes. There's the first request, no personalized experience or something comes into picture. This kind of basic standard. Then you have some Sitecore personalized JavaScript added, which does a request to Sitecore CDP. Sitecore CDP processes that, hey, how many web experiences are active on this particular channel or website. It will send that payload, and that will be rendered at the client side. So this basically sends HTML, CSS, JavaScript to browser, and then browser renders that. So that's about the web experiences. Let's talk about the full stack experiences. So full stack experiences are kind of very advanced. So let's say whatever you cannot do with the web experiences, you can do that with the full stack experiences. There is no limit with the full stack experience. Obviously, this is not designed for marketers first. This is designed mainly for the backend or the tech team involvement, or they are main consumer of this. They can build this experiences and they can deploy, and that will be used on the website. So this is mainly servers and integration. When you use the full stack experiences, you can also invoke the other external API. The example is, for example, let's say you want to create a full stack experience where you want to show some content from your Sitecore Content Hub, or you want to show some content from your Sitecore Content Hub's DAM. All those things can be done using the full stack experience, where you can create a connection with Content Hub and then fetch that content and render it on the website. It's API driven. There are a couple of ways to do it. Triggered and interactive. We'll talk about that later. You need to rely on your development team mostly one time. As a marketing team, you have to just let your team know that these are the scenarios I'd like to implement. It's again low code development model. You don't need to write any C# code or do a deployment. It's all SaaS model, and it has support for Apache FreeMarker, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. And as I mentioned, there are two types of doing a full stack experience, interactive and triggered. Let's talk about that in the upcoming slide. Let's see the full stack experiences data flow. The first page request happens, and then from Sitecore XM website, you do another backend request to Sitecore CDP. Think of this as an API request you are making, which will give you some experience payload. Think of this as a JSON data, and then you take that data and then render it on the page. So here you got the full control because you got the backend context, and then you can do multiple things. You also have a context of the user and all the sessions the user has visited, and you can personalize the experience using that. Now let's talk about the interactive experiences in detail. So interactive experiences, as the name says, like you need to interact as a user to trigger this interactive experiences. And this is mainly API response, like you get an API response and you can create your JSON data using this. And here you have to write the code using the Apache FreeMarker, and then we'll see that example. So executes whenever the user interaction happens. The example can be personalized content for native mobile experiences or real-time data sources. So to integrate this interactive experience, you need to invoke the API. So let's say you have a website or you have a native mobile application, and then you need to integrate and personalize the experience using interactive experience. You just need to invoke an API, and that will give you a JSON data, and then you process that data and render it the way you want. The triggered experiences, as the name says, it executes or triggers on an out of the box or custom events. The best example is abandoned cart, when someone abandons the cart, we would like to send them an email that, hey, you abandoned the cart, but we have an offer going on for you. Would you like to make your purchase? And there is a high chance that people will come back to the website and then complete their purchase. So all those things can be done using this triggered experiences, and then you can use the out of the box triggers, or you can also have your own custom events which can trigger this. You can activate any outbound channels, because whenever this abandoned card event happens, it will execute this code, whatever you have written. And here you can connect to any outbound channel. For example, if you want to send an SMS, you can connect to your SMS service provider, like Twilio or something. Or if you want to send an email, you can connect to your SendGrid or something. And then you can just send an SMS or email. You can also send a push notification using this mechanism. Now, a lot of theory, which I'm sure a lot of people don't like. So let's go through the demo. And for that, I'll go back to my Sitecore CDP screen. So not sure you all have seen this, but this is the Sitecore CDP screen. You don't get direct access. You need to work with your Sitecore partner representative or your client representative to get an access of this. Once you get an access, you can log in. Once you log in, you will see the information about your overall platform. The important thing to see here is which product you got. We have got Sitecore CDP and Personalize both, which means we have Smart Hub CDP. If you only have CDP, it will show CDP, and if you only have Personalize, it will show Personalize. So now let's talk about the first example using the web experience. So you go to experiences, click on the web, and then we also have full stack. You also have experiments, web and full stack. These names are confusing. The way I remember is experiences are basically showing some personalized experience, and experiments, this kind of a small lab icon shows me that, hey, I'm doing some research and providing the final experience. So just keep that in mind when you are looking at this lab icon, you are doing some experimentation, and then you are clear what is going on. You can do the experiences. So that's my simple way to remember, but yeah, you can find your own way. So when you go here, you can create your web experience. So let's say SUG Bangalore web experience. You can create that. When you do that, it will give you an option to select the out of the box options available, or you can also design your web templates, which I'll not go in detail, but you can also create your web templates as a developer, and then that can be consumed by marketer. They don't need to go through all these things. But let's say we need sidebar integration, for example. So you can use this, and then from here, you can provide the image URL. You can change the background color. You can change the title to and then you can also change the stuff. Everything is configurable. Now, if you are more technical, you can click on the advanced edit. It will take you to the behind the scenes, which is nothing but just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, uh, and then the API. You can also call the API from here. So I have already created one web experience for the demo, which we'll go through and go through the detail. And while this is loading, this is the website which we'll be using for demo. This website has been built using ASP.NET, and it is connected to this sandbox environment already. So now what we are doing is, as part of this implementation or use case, we have to implement the feedback web experience, where when user leave the website, we want to get do a rating from them that, hey, how was your experience, and is there any feedback for us? So first and foremost thing we have done here is added a variant one. You can add variant from here. same screen, you can select. I have added a pop-up tech over here. This shows the screen. As I mentioned, I can change the colors from here and can go more fancy with this information. And then if I need to go through, because what I wanted to do is here is when you click on this rating buttons, I wanted to send some data behind the scenes to Sitecore CDP system. So for that, we went to this behind the scenes HTML. So we have this added these buttons. Again, nothing fancy or rocket science here. It is just HTML buttons. And then there is some data attributes added here. Apart from that, nothing modified in the CSS, but you can modify the CSS and add your own theme or some whatever theme-based CSS. I added some JavaScript. And again, I'm not a JavaScript developer, so there might be some better way to do it, but this is kind of an POC application. So we have the button rating 1. Whenever you click that, we call this function to send a feedback to the system, and then we hide the pop-up. And then this function is doing nothing but creating that JSON payload with the additional data extension, and then we send that data to the CDP system. We're not calling any API, but we can also call an API. But that's not done here. So this is how it looks. I can also do a preview. So when I do a preview, you can provide a URL and visit. So my experience is not live yet, but I am going through the preview and I can see that here. Now, let's go through the other configuration, the page targeting. This is very important. Make sure that you configure this because if you don't configure this, then let's say you have multiple sites and each sites are using the same CDP system, then whatever experience you're going to create, that experience will be used on all the websites, which is not good. So make sure that you provide your page targeting where you can also provide the simple URL. Like in this example, I'm providing my website URL. The second interesting thing here is, as I explained, I wanted to have an experience not when someone visits the page, but when someone is going to leave the website, then only I want to get the feedback from them. So you can do that using advanced targeting script where you have this particular script added here. What it does, it checks the mouse coordinates, and if it's going out of the screen, then it triggers the experience. And again, I've not written this example. This something is Boxever has GitHub repository. From there, you can use the script. So now we have this experience, and then you can add a goal basically to track your experience and how it is doing. You can add a goal, like it can be a conversion or whatever your company has decided. You can run the experience immediately, or you can also schedule it. But in this example, we'll run it immediately. So now this is publishing, and now this experience will be live once the publishing is done. And I'm using this Sitecore Sandbox, Partner Sandbox, which has been used by a lot of people so far for training. That's why this environment takes a little bit time, because it has a lot of experiments done by people. Okay, so this experience is live now. So let's start a new journey from incognito window. So now I'm leaving the screen, and you can see this pop-up has already appeared. And then I can submit this data, and this data will go into the backend system. So let's just do one thing. I want to get this user's ID. So this is basically a unique ID assigned to this user, because this is still a visitor, not converted to a known user or customer, they call it. So let's say that the experience has been great. So I'll submit 5 rating. Now let's go back to the system and find that customer. You can go from customer, guest, and then provide the BID, which is Boxever ID, and provide that copied ID from there. This is our user, which we started the journey. And here, when this page loads, I should be able to see what feedback has been sent by the user. So you can see that sent feedback, and then this user sent me a 5 rating. So now if I'm a customer care executive and accessing the screen, I know what this user is doing and what rating they have provided. Obviously provide some experiences based on that. Obviously on the website as well, if someone has provided 5 rating, we can also provide some discount code or coupon code for them to elevate their experience. So that's what is about the web experience. Now let's go through the second example of the full stack experience. As I mentioned, web experience can do the basic things, and you can also customize using the web templates. But let's say you want to do something more complicated, then you can do using the full stack experience. So you have the interactive and triggered, you can see from here. So when you create an experience, you see two options. Interactive is mainly when you want to consume some API and do some personalization, and then triggered is mainly triggering something based on the events. So now let's look at the interactive experience which I already created to speed up the things. In this example, what we are trying to do is we are just trying to pause this experience because I'd like to show something to you. So here you can see this is basically API response. It will send the API data. Other things are same. You can also connect to a decisioning engine, which we will talk in the upcoming session. But the important thing is here, where this is Apache free marker script, where I can provide some data, and that will be my JSON data. Let's say I want to do some personalization experience for particular customer. I can also search that customer, and I can come here and I can say copy as path as free marker, and I can copy that here. Or let's say I'm interested in the phone number of the user to be sent, for example. So I can again come here and then copy the path from here. And that can be used, and it also has type ahead, so you can also do that here. So we have this full stack experience design. You can also taste this. You can provide your user and then send request. It will send the decision model response from here, and then you can see the experience response. Basically, I have got an offer return. This is my JSON data, the final JSON data, and we'll see in the next presentation or the next session how to use this data. So very powerful. And then this is the execution snippet. If you want to consume or do the interactive experience consumption on your website or any channel, you just have to integrate this JavaScript code by replacing few values, and then it will give you a JSON response, which you can use to do whatever is your end goal. So very powerful tool, full stack experience, and you can also connect to the API, which we are going to see in the next demo. So now let's talk about the next demo. Here, what you would like to do as a use case is, as I mentioned, if someone abandons their cart, we would like to send them an email. So that's what we are trying to do in this example. But before I show that example to you, what I'd like to do here is show you the connections, because that's an behind the scenes thing we are going to use. So connection is an area where you can create a connectivity with your endpoints or APIs. In this example, I am using the service known as Mailjet. Think of Mailjet as same as SendGrid, where it allows you to send an email using the API they have. So I got already registered with Mailjet, and I have done a connection already with that. So here, to create a connection, it is nothing, just follow the wizard where you provide the endpoint username, like your client ID, client secret, some headers, and you can also taste the connection. So here, if you can see here, I can taste the connection. It will say that test successful. Basically, it will send this request to my API endpoint, and I can verify that this connection went successfully. So that's the mainly use of this screen uh, to create a connection. Now we have the connection created, because when the abandoned card happens, you want to send an email. Now it's time to use that in our full stack experience. So we'll go back to our full stack experience. And as I mentioned, when you go here, you will select the triggered experience in this example. So I'll click this guy. It will load the screen of triggered experience already created. I'll show this screen again. This is main data. I have selected a trigger here. As I mentioned, you can select the triggers available, or you can also have the custom trigger available. In this example, I'm going to use abandoned card, which is kind of default event. But if you want a custom event, you can also use the custom trigger. You can select the audience. Will not go through that in detail. And then currently I'm connecting to a decisioning engine. Basically, this particular decision engine is providing me a data which I need to get the abandoned card details of a user, because when the abandoned card event happens, what was in their card, all this information I need. For that, in the Sitecore Personalize, you can connect to a decisioning engine. Think of decisioning engine as kind of your main behind the scenes main logic written using this canvas. This is a decisioning model canvas, and then if you are interested to know more about it, we'll discuss in the next session very deep. But there are a few things I have drag and drop here. The guest data, because I need to have the guest data, the session data, and then using this programmable, this is my basically a server side JavaScript, where what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fetch the user data and the abandoned card event. When the abandoned card event happens, I'm getting all the product information, creating the required HTML output or the JSON output, which I will be consuming at experience level, and then that returns the data back. So if I go back to the experience, when this executes, when the event happens, it triggers the calls this decision engine. That engine will basically execute this JavaScript code and finds the current abandoned card session for this user, and then sends that data back. And the data is available to us using this get decision model with this particular attribute. And then now we are connecting to our mailjet connection we created with the data coming from the response. And then you can also see here, I have created a connection to my uh, connection of mailjet, which I shown you in the first part. So now we have the connection created and the decision model also written with the logic, and everything is ready now. The another powerful feature of this canvas is you can also test the canvas. So let's say if I would like to test my user with this canvas, I can also look at this information and see, okay, what's going on. I can also debug this code by adding some print statements, which will basically add something in the logs here. So I can modify my logic based on what data I'm seeing here. So we'll see that all the information in the upcoming session. Coming back to the demo. So we have all these things set up. This experiment or experience, triggered experience is live. So let's go back to the website and let's log in uh, with SUG Bangalore user. I'd like to use Mailinator, which is provides the public email boxes, so you can see the email. And then I can also so this is my public email box for SUG Bangalore, and then I log in with that, and I have triggered the identity event, which basically identifies the user. Now I'll go to the products. I have set up some dummy products here. Let's say I'm interested in buying Apple Watch 7. I should add Apple Watch Ultra as well here. Now let me add to cart. And this button is basically the abandoned cart. Behind the scenes, I'm setting the data to abandoned cart, simulating the abandoned cart event. So I'll do that. As soon as I do that, I receive an email that, hey, SUG Bangalore, your order is not complete. Um, and then you had Apple Watch 7 in your cart. And obviously, you can make this email more fancy with all the data coming from different sources, or also personalized, because now you know this user is particular user. You can provide them particular experiences, or let's say if some festival is going on, you can also send some message with the festival and some festival code, so people are going to buy with that. So you can do a lot of things with this triggered experiences. And if you want to troubleshoot like what happened behind the scenes, you can also go back to guest. You can see now SUG Bangalore is identified as customer because you provided that identity and email address, or email address is an identity. So that has been provided. And on the timeline, you can see that the email execution happened for this particular user. And you can also see the execution data. So in case something doesn't happen or something fails, you can troubleshoot from here. So that's a overall triggered experience and how it can be integrated. It's very powerful tool, and you can do whatever you would like to do with this. Now, let's go back to the presentation and let's talk about the experiments. As I mentioned, whatever you can do with experiences, you can do with experiments without any issues. Experiments are mainly used for A/B testing and multivariate testing. There are a couple of things here, like you can have multiple variants configured, and then you need to have some configuration like base rate, what's the conversion rate you have, what's kind of an MDD value, which is mainly minimal detectable difference value, and then what is your confidence level. The more higher confidence level you have, the more sessions you need, which is obvious. But this is basically a statistical way to remove the null hypothesis and make sure that your data which you are getting is based on this larger sample set and not some kind of an outliers, and you make some decision. So you can configure that uh, with your A/B testing configuration, and we'll see that in the upcoming session for the demo. Then you can also have the traffic allocation. Basically, when you create two variants, for example, in this example, I have two variants. You can set the traffic like 50%, 50%. You can also set 70-30, like it's up to you. And you can also set the overall traffic, like when for your websites, 100% visitors should go to these two experiences. You can configure that. Or you can also say that only 50% users should go to this particular experiment, and that's also doable. Other things are same, like page targeting, audience decisioning, no difference there. When you configure this traffic allocation, there are a couple of ways to do it. One is percentage based, or you can also use buckets. Buckets are nothing but kind of an Sitecore CDP or personalized way to assign particular number to a visitor. The numbers are from 1 to 120. So you can also select that. The use case where you need buckets is when you are testing something, or when you know that some user is in particular bucket, like premium customer is particular bucket, and then you want to provide some experience, very relevant experience to them, you can do using buckets, because uh, with percentage you cannot target particular user. So we'll see that in the upcoming example. But this is the overall web and full stack experiences experiments data flow. It is same, nothing different than what we have seen in the experiences. The only difference here is it will be providing some data based on the traffic allocation and the percentage uh, of A/B testing we have configured. Yeah, less theory, more demo should keep you guys happy. So now let's go with the experiment configuration. And me just make sure that. Okay, so now for experiments, as I mentioned, you have to go in experiments here, click on the web. The overall, if you understand experiences, the experiments are kind of same UI, nothing different. So you create the experiment. I already created one where what we are trying to do is the marketing team has been fighting that one person says that, hey, I want to show this alert bar in the top. The other person says that, hey, I want to show this alert bar in the bottom. And then someone intervenes them and say that, hey, we have a Sitecore personalized platform. Let's do A/B testing and then we should have the results. So I have created two variants, alert bar top. So let me show you that. So this is alert bar, and I also added some fancy marquee tag here. Obviously, marketing can do that. So once they do that, you can select the position of this particular alert. This is the top, and you can, again, as I mentioned, you can go fancy, change colors, and do all those stuff. And then this other one is same, the alert bar, but in the bottom. Now we have configured that same page targeting, nothing different, same thing, and then goals are same. We don't need audience or decisioning here. Now when you configure that, let's look at this particular thing. So there are, as I mentioned, there are a couple of ways to do it. You can switch to basic mode where you can select 50-50% for each experience. If you have more experiences, you can add that. Like, let's say if you have 3 experiences, click on this button, it will divide automatically. And then if you want to go more fancy, you can switch to advanced mode where you can select, like, for 1 to 60, I would like to provide variant 1. For 61 to 120, I'd like to provide variant 2. So we have configured that. So I'll start the experience or the experiment now. And let's go to the website. Let me close this guy. I'll let this experiment get published. Once the publishing happens, what we will do is we'll open multiple browsers and try to see how it shows the top bar for one user and the bottom bar for another user. So let's do that. So this is my first user. So you can see the bottom alert bar appeared here. Let me open different browser, which is Edge. So now let me try there. And let's see what happens. Still the bottom alert bar happened. Let me try one more time. So the same browser, it will happen. That. Let me try Firefox. Okay, so now for this Firefox, it is showing the top alert bar. So if think of this, each browser which I opened as a different user across the globe, and they are experimenting. Obviously, if they click on this particular option, that means they like this particular experiment what or the variant what they have seen, and then they got engaged, and obviously that wins the point. So you can see all those data getting aggregated here in the performance tab. So you can then make a decision. Obviously you need enough data. And then for the operational point of view, this is mainly for developers, just to see, like, is it kind of successful? Are there any failures happening or something going wrong? So for developers, you'll be using this. And for marketers, you'll be using this. And as I mentioned, you can configure the calculation sample size. You got all the control here, where you can select the base rate and MTD value, confidence level, and then it also says that how many sample size, like I need 21K sessions to reach to a conclusion with this experiment. And if you want to change that, let's say if I need only low confidence level, that will reduce my sessions required for this particular experiment. And you might just do it for some examples because you want to see the early data. But the good thing is when you are testing something, you can change this, and then obviously you can change back when you go live. So that's again a very powerful feature which I don't think was available in the past. We had to kind of wait for a number of days to see the results. So that's an experiment example. And then the other thing I'd like to show, as I mentioned, the bucket information. In this example, I'm also printing a bucket value. So this, you can see that this user is in bucket number 50. You don't need to know this, but again, in case you are doing some particular experiment and you want to see the number, you can look at that number from here, the boxsaver.get bucket number, or I think they keep changing this. Yeah, and then you can look at that number from here. So that's the overall experiment and how you can divide your traffic by percentage or by bucket number. That's it. And again, there are a few resources I would recommend to you. The Sitecore Discover channel, Sitecore team is posting a lot of good videos, so I would strongly recommend you to go through that. There are a lot of community contribution, and Sitecore documentation is very good. You should go through that. And in case you have not seen this particular mind map, in case you have not come across this, this is the mind map which I prepared while I was learning, because there are a lot of things to remember and go through. So this mind map basically shows all the key concepts of Sitecore CDP and Personalize. For example, I want to learn more about experiences. I can click on this, and then you can look at this information, or you can click on this link, which will open the Sitecore documentation. You can also read more about experiments from here. Let's say I'd like to know more about web experiments. I can click here. It will take me to the Sitecore's page for experiments. And then if you'd like to kind of see small notes, I can also see that from here. So yeah, that's a small gift from my side for all of you, so you can make your journey more visual and more simple rather than kind of struggling to find the information and remembering everything, because there's a lot to remember. But that's fine. You'll get it. The more you practice, the more you get it. So yeah, that's it from my side for this demo. I'll take a pause and see any questions, and then we'll take it from there.
If there are any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or drop a note in the chat.
Attendee 20. No, this is GoToMeeting is weird, like attendee 20. Sorry.
Yeah, I was asking, there are so many things in CDP also available, right? Related to personalization. Like we did here, comparing A/B testing for two variants, right? Even Boxever and CDP give just that option. Am I right or not?
No, you're not right. Sorry, unfortunately. So you are saying that Sitecore, so Boxever was the old product, right? Which Sitecore acquired, and they renamed it to Sitecore CDP and Personalize. Sitecore CDP and Personalize both are one product, but you cannot do personalization if you only purchase Sitecore CDP license.
Okay,
That's the confusing part, which I also, to be honest, I also had. I can say, okay, everything can be done, but no. So if you have this particular screen, so if you only have CDP access, let's say your company only purchased CDP license, right? Then you will not see these options. Like these options will be hidden from you.
Okay.
So you cannot do anything. And then if you purchase personalized, then only you will see that. So obviously, if you purchase personalized, you will have this option, but this will not store the data for the long time, and only like some amount of data will be stored.
And somehow I feel if you don't have CDP, you only buy personalized. I don't think that is more fruitful, right?
100% agree. Yep. But again, 100% agree. But if your company has already invested in Salesforce CDP, for example, and your company has that integration done, then yeah, you can also do that where you can get the data from Salesforce CDP using the API and decision modeling and do the personalization. But yeah, if you want that kind of a single system with more connected experiences, then yes, Sitecore CDP and Personalize both products make more sense than having the external system.
Okay. Thank you, Kiran.
Yeah.
And it's a very good work. It's very
Thank you.
good for community people.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
glad you like it. Sorry, but what is your name? I don't want to call you at 20.
I'm Rohit here.
Rohit. Okay. Thanks, Rohit. And then
No,
these two questions are posted by you or like
no,
and
not me.
okay, sorry.
Not,
So I'll go through the question from attendee 20 in case you want to say your name. That'll be good. Kind of basic questions, but from security standpoint, box server script is added to the layout which contains the client key to how to protect this key, else it will be visible to the respect window view, which is fine. It's same like GTM and all those keys. You cannot do anything because this is tied to your domain and it won't work for the other domains. Yeah, that's fine. But at the same time, let's say your company has more secure standards and you don't want to expose, I would strongly recommend you to go through Sitecore Demo Edge repository. This is a Sitecore example to integrate Sitecore CDP and Personalize. And what they have done is they have created some kind of an mechanism where you can hide your client key. It's possible. So just go through this repository and you'll understand more like how they have done it. They have created a proxy and then basically you invoke the proxy and then proxy does all the things and gives you a response. And that proxy is basically a Docker, CDP Docker container. So you can explore this and you'll find the answer. But for most of the audience, I don't think that will be required. And how to promote the experiments from lower to higher environments is packaging possible? That's a very very good question. Unfortunately, there is no way to do that. Like there is no packaging or there is no TDS sync or Sitecore CLI for this one. I hope Sitecore builds that one day. So the way to do that is, let's say I have built this experience on my UAT instance, for example. So what I can do is I can export this data. So let's say I have this particular experience. I can export this, which will be in XML format. And then on the next system, I can import that data. So that's how it works. There is no kind of an easy way to get this transfer from one system to another system at this point of time. But I'm sure like one point of time, there'll be some better mechanism to do it. But you have to kind of export and import. That's the only way, or create it manually. And if you, again, as I mentioned, if you look at the Sitecore Demo Edge repository, you will find the Sitecore CDP steps and how they are also doing the same concept which I mentioned, where they are storing all the assets. So if you go through this documentation, it has all the examples of how to use this and how this has been configured. Yeah. Then Piyush, if we have partner account, so can we access CDP? Yes. Most the partner account has CDP and Personalize both. Yeah, you can do that, Piyush. And then yeah, thanks, attendee 20. Sorry, I don't know your name, but yeah, thank you. Good. Any more questions? We still have 3 minutes.
Okay, sounds like we're good.
I think so.
All right then. Okay. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you so much, Kiran, for taking the time. We'll be uploading the recording of this session on our channel. So again, thanks everyone. Everyone have a great weekend. You too, Kiran.
Yeah, thanks everyone for your time. Thanks, Anandita, for your time as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.